I bet you'll never guess the NBA record for the most consecutive games played. You'll also never believe the most shots missed in a game without scoring, because it's pretty ugly. Lastly, you'll want to hear the one thing LeBron James has surprisingly never done in his storied career. Throughout NBA history, there have been several wild occurrences that have left fans questioning if they're real. I'm here today to tell you 20 NBA stats that will completely shock you. Stay tuned to the end to hear a bonus stat as well. Comment below the craziest stat you've ever heard of, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm going to start with one of the most famous stats in NBA history. This comes from none other than Wilt Chamberlain. In a 1962 game when Wilt was a member of the Philadelphia Warriors, he faced off against the Knicks and set one of the greatest records in all of sports. At the end of this game, Wilt had broken the record for most points scored in an NBA game by one player at 100, which is still yet to be broken today and may never be broken. What's even crazier is the fact that he averaged 50 points a game that season, another feat that will probably never be achieved again. Man, Wilt was something else. Speaking of players who were something else, 7'7" Manute Bol had some of the craziest stats to end his career. When Bol retired, he finished with 1,599 points and 2,086 blocks, making him the only player in NBA history to end his career with more blocks than points. Speaking of blocks, the number for the most in a single game is absurd. As a member of the Lakers, Elmore Smith denied the Trailblazers countless times one night in 1973. By the end of the game, Smith compiled a whopping 17 blocks, which still stands as a record to this day. These players have put up some amazing numbers, but what about a record in which someone put up no stats? In January of 2011, the Miami Heat's backup center Joel Anthony put up a record that he's probably not thrilled about. In 28 minutes and 46 seconds of play, Anthony didn't record a single point, assist, rebound, steal, or block. Dude was really out there just running cardio. Tony Snell also did this more recently, though he played 21 fewer seconds. Nearly 29 minutes is a long time to not put up a single stat, but what about a player who didn't play a single second and recorded a stat? As a member of the Toronto Raptors, Razul Butler was subbed into a game against the Lakers with 4 seconds left for the first time all game. In a tight contest with the Raptors down 1, Butler was put in to help make something happen. He was given one role: to inbound the ball. Despite this, Butler was unable to find someone to pass the ball to and committed a 5-second violation. He was immediately subbed out following the turnover, making his final stat line 0 minutes played and 1 turnover. There are some other ugly NBA stats out there, including the most missed free throws in a single NBA game. In his time with the Pistons, Andre Drummond was known as one of the best rebounders in the league, but he was not known for shooting free throws very well. In fact, some teams saw it as a strategy to intentionally foul him to stop him from scoring altogether. Coming into a game against the Houston Rockets, Drummond had been a career 38.5% free throw shooter. The Rockets were putting in their backups just for them to constantly foul Drummond, causing the Pistons to take Drummond out of the game. This didn't stop him from putting up 36 free throw attempts, in which he only made 13 for a total of 23 missed free throws, an NBA record. At least Drummond was able to put something in the basket in this game, as Tim Hardaway holds the record for the most shots missed in a game while not making a single one. Despite registering 2 points from the free throw line, Tim Hardaway shot 17 times and didn't make a single basket in a game against the Timberwolves in 1991. Hardaway really stuck to Dion Waiters' infamous saying, "I'd rather go 0 for 30 than 0 for 9, because if you go 0 for 9, that means you stopped shooting, that means you lost confidence." Though he may be right to a degree, there has to come a time when you have to admit it's not your night and start contributing in other ways. The next player I'm going to be discussing contributed in more ways than enough, breaking the record for most games played in an NBA season. In the 1968-69 season, Walt Bellamy began the season as a member of the Knicks and played 35 games for them. He was then traded to the Pistons mid-season, but at the time the Pistons traded for him, they had 29 games under their belt. This meant that Bellamy would play 6 extra games on the season, bringing his total to 88, which still stands as an NBA record. This brings me to another Wilt Chamberlain stat. You knew I couldn't have there be just one Wilt stat in this video. In the same season as his 100-point game, Wilt had done something else no other NBA player had ever done and probably will never do again. An NBA game is 48 minutes long, and most NBA stars average around 35 minutes, with Luka leading the league averaging 37.4 minutes a game. This was not the case for Wilt. In the 1961-62 season, Wilt averaged 48.5 minutes a game from playing in overtime. Coaches like Tom Thibodeau and Nick Nurse would be drooling over this. Let's pass it off to a career-long stat. The player who holds the record is known as one of the best passers in NBA history. He spent his entire career with the Utah Jazz, and he is known as John Stockton. Stockton has the most steals of all time, sitting nearly 600 above anyone else. This isn't even his most impressive stat, as he's put up 15,806 assists throughout his entire career, with no other player within 3,500 of his record. Absolutely crazy. One of the best passers in today's NBA, and quite possibly the best passing big man of all time, is Nikola Jokic. In a 2018 game against the Milwaukee Bucks, Jokic had done something quicker than any NBA player has ever done before, and this was achieving a triple-double. With a minute and 54 seconds left in the second quarter, Jokic gathered his 10th assist, leaving him with the fastest triple-double in history, completing the feat in just 14 minutes and 33 seconds of court time. There's another NBA player who's currently famous for triple-doubles, and he goes by the name of Russell Westbrook. In 2017, Westbrook finished off a storybook MVP season averaging 31.5 points, 10.5 rebounds, and 10.5 assists. He became the first player to average a triple-double since Oscar Robertson in 1962. What's even crazier about this is the fact that Russ went on to average a triple-double 3 more times for a full season. This may never be done again, just like this other NBA record set by the Lakers in the 1971-72 season. On November 5th, 1971, the Lakers took down the Baltimore Bullets, starting something no other team in history may ever achieve. Los Angeles won game after game following this and didn't lose again until January 9th to the Milwaukee Bucks to end their winning streak at an improbable 33 games. Props to them. The Milwaukee Bucks may have ended the Lakers record, but they were able to create a record of their own in a game on November 25th, 1977. Facing the Atlanta Hawks, the Bucks had to fight from behind all game, and by the start of the fourth quarter, they found themselves down by a score of 104-76. Despite this, everything in this game flipped 180 degrees. In the fourth quarter, the Hawks only mustered 11 points to the Bucks' 41, allowing for the Bucks to complete the largest fourth quarter comeback in NBA history at 28 points. 41 points is a lot for a team to put up in a quarter, but how about the record for most points in a quarter by one player? I'll tell you right now too that this record did not come from Wilt Chamberlain. On January 23rd, 2015, the Kings and Warriors were facing off, and Klay Thompson was having a typical game halfway through, putting up 13 points. It wasn't until 9 minutes and 44 seconds left in the third quarter when Klay caught fire like no one else ever had before. At this point in the third quarter, Thompson took over, scoring the Warriors' next 19 points alone. He then assisted a Draymond Green layup, and following that scored 18 straight points, giving him a record of 37 points in one quarter. 37 points is considered a fantastic game for a player throughout the entire game, but 37 and a quarter is unheard of. Klay made all 9 of his 3-point attempts and all 4 of his 2-pointers. This record will be very hard to break, though it could be possible, unlike this next NBA record I'll be talking about. On November 13th, 1999, Cal Bodler of the Atlanta Hawks broke the rulebook. As the Hawks were getting blown out late in the fourth quarter, Bodler committed his 6th personal foul, which should have had him removed from the game, right? Nope. The scorekeeper must have fallen asleep because for some reason Bodler was still allowed to play, as with 50 seconds left in the game, he committed his 7th foul, leading to his removal from the game. The refs and scorekeepers had thought this was a 6th foul, which led to an NBA record that is impossible to break. Because of new NBA rules, there's another fouling record that will be impossible to break. In the 2000-2001 season, Rasheed Wallace recorded 41 technical fouls as a member of the Portland Trail Blazers. The funny thing is, he broke his own record of 38 technicals set the season prior. The reason this record can never be broken again is because in 2006, the NBA installed a new rule that suspended a player without pay for 1 game after acquiring 16 technicals. The player receives the same suspension for each technical after that. Business Insider wrote that if a player were to get a technical in every other game, which would tie Rasheed's record of 41, that would leave 50 regular season games to get 25 technicals, which would mean that a player would have to get a technical in every game they played in. It's possible to tie the record but not to break it, and no player wants to forfeit all this salary and playing time. For a more positive foul-related stat, the record for the best free throw percentage in a season by a player was set in the 2008-2009 season by Jose Calderon of the Toronto Raptors. In this season, he hit 151 of his 154 free throw attempts for a percentage of 98.1. This is pretty crazy considering his career average was 87%, which is still very impressive nonetheless. To put this into perspective, Kevin Durant is leading the league this season with a percentage of 93.4, almost 5 full percentage points below Calderon's record. This next NBA stat is very odd. In a December 1997 game facing off against Chicago, Bubba Wells and the Dallas Mavericks found a strategy to slow down the overpowered Bulls, which was fouling Dennis Rodman. Bubba Wells only played one season in the NBA for 39 games, so head coach Don Nelson was using him as a designated fouler essentially. In just 2 minutes and 43 seconds, Bubba Wells fouled out of the game, committing 6 fouls on Dennis Rodman, who made 9 of his 12 free throws. That was it for the game for Bubba. Lasting under 3 minutes in a game is crazy, but how about a player that never missed court time? In November of 1986, AC Green began a streak that may never be broken again. From this point on, he played in 1,192 games straight without missing a single one. This streak took him all the way to retirement in 2001. Mikal Bridges has played 354 straight games dating back to 2018, which is the longest streak in the NBA currently and the third longest streak of all time. With load management gaining a lot of popularity in recent seasons, as well as unexpected occurrences like injuries and sicknesses, it makes it near impossible for this record to be broken. We'll see how long the streak goes for Bridges. Before I reveal this last wild stat about LeBron James, be sure to like and subscribe and comment down below your favorite stat from the video. Throughout his career, LeBron James has been an all-around great player. He can pass, defend, shoot, all the above. But there's one thing he hasn't done yet. LeBron has averaged a very impressive 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists for his career, but has never once put up a stat line of 27, 7, and 7 in a single game. Who would have thought?